Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. Roster drama all across the world last night. EMEA, the Pacific, the Americas all getting involved. Big drama on Loud, what Aspas is going to do potentially, what 100 Thieves are cooking up for the upcoming season with Cryo, but also Sentinels plan for the upcoming year. We saw a scrimbuck yesterday that seemed to imply Zekken and Gen.G might not be part of that team. That is not the case. They will be staying around, but the other options are certainly all still on the table. What about Evil Geniuses too? Are they fully squad wiping, including Yay? Very much into your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you are new as always. Let's begin here because the news was confirmed yesterday. Leo Farrier hinted at it for some time that Gentlemate are joining VCT EMEA. Now this of course will come as a surprise to basically no one, not least the fans of Koi. Now Koi got kicked out of the league for... well, we're not really 100% sure. The understanding is that they had certain agreements that they would do co-streaming, then, well, eBay didn't do it anymore, but they found another co-streamer that did a great job. But the way that the partnership agreements work, if Riot aren't happy with you, they will kick you out. Now, the reason why they came to that decision is still a little bit unclear, and many are wondering whether, but it's also about performance, right? It's not just about the numbers, it's also about the fact that, Koi have not really been a factor in EMEA over the last few years. They likely would have been one of the organizations to get ejected when the partnership agreements are, let's say, reconsidered for 2027 anyway. But Riot believe that they found a way to terminate the deal early based on various conversations that they had and things that weren't necessarily followed through on. And the belief from Koi was that they were doing this precisely because Gentlemate had just been relegated and they wanted to put Gentlemate in instead. Now, from the outside perspective looking in, regardless of the drama about this, do I think that the league is better off with Gentlemates than Koi? Probably, yeah. Like, they were a little bit more competitive. They weren't great at all. But, the fan base that Gentlemates have, I'm not saying that Koi don't have a big fan base either, but if I'm just putting Gentlemates Valorant against Koi Valorant and I'm thinking what could be possible over the coming years, I understand why Riot would prefer Gentlemates in the league. But the drama was because when Koi were kicked out, they felt like they was only decided because they wanted to put Gentlemates in. So Riot described how there was an extensive selection process and they had to tick all the boxes that they mention here. And look, you look at those boxes, do Gentlemates tick them more than Koi? Do they tick them more than other teams? There was talk that maybe a heroic Apex kind of partnership was also in conversations, but they were rejected in favour of Gentlemate. After thorough review, Gentlemate achieved the highest overall score. As a result, they have been offered a one-year contract through to the end of 2026, and I would be surprised if that contract is not extended when the partnership agreements are renewed next year. So it's pretty funny. I think everyone knew this was coming, but the fact that it happens, in the manner that it has definitely turned some heads. Fnatic were like, whoa, so unexpected. There were 787 very happy Koi fans in the replies here. So, extensive selection process. There was some pretty funny stuff happening. I mean, this is pretty good, isn't it, right? Extensive selection process. Wherever you pause, it's the Gentlemates. And, the reason to kick them from the league was their results. Gentlemates had lost all their last few series, extensive selection process, etc., etc. So, yeah, plenty of tweets in the replies. I think you know where that one is going. We also had this, so this was deleted, but Adam Adamu, top guy at Koi, basically their CEO, he actually tweeted this out, the gif of the guy putting the clown mask on. Then he deleted it, and he did clarify to say, look, Gentlemates are a great organisation, they've done great things in other esports as well, but of course it is going to be frustrating. Koi themselves even tweeted this out because eBay's theory was, day one, eBay's theory was that they kicked us out to put Gentlemate in instead, and now they've put Gentlemate in instead. So whether you think it's the right decision or not, it's always going to be very controversial, and we will see what happens next. But Gentlemate are back in Europe despite getting relegated because they were the Ascension winners before. They've been offered a one-year deal. As I say, that is probably unlikely to change. Another big drama is about the agent and potential updates to Valorant going forward. This is actually quite a big one. So when Vito pops his ultimate, you'll see it at the top of the screen when his character model will actually change. So as we know, his ultimate lasts for the whole round, and, well, until you shoot him in the head, basically, because you can't kill him any other way with his ultimate that makes him immune from basically everything. There is talk, and Riot are thinking about this, whether they do this for other agents as well, right? For Yoru, or for KO, or for Reyna or something, when they pop their ultimate, should it also appear on the map? That's something to think about. So, yeah, pretty interesting. They say that they're thinking about it. They worked a bit of time on making this work, so I think that's kind of cool. There's been a lot of talk as well about the utility. So there was some discussion that for initiator agents, maybe other agents as well, their utility does not come back on a cooldown. They have to get kills to get it back. Now, we actually don't, I'm not going to go into more detail on this because we literally don't know what they're cooking up. But apparently Riot have come to teams and said, yes, we hear you on power creep, on the game getting a bit too crazy with all the different agents and all the different abilities and everything that's in the game. So we're going to try and find ways to calm it down a little bit. Mini Jake is not very happy about the idea of removing refresh utility, and, well, Coleman here says, product lead on Valorant gameplay, we're not removing that. We are going to increase cooldowns, though, on some abilities to encourage more thoughtful usage. We still want utility to shine, we just want players to use it more selectively. Leaks are often inaccurate. So we'll see in a few days' time on the 13th of October exactly what they have done, what they are deciding to do. There are other rumours, you know, so this was the rumour on the 6th, that's potentially major changes happening. Then there was some other rumors that suggested, yeah, this was actually the rumor that for initiators, the E ability will take 2 kills to refresh, but it seems that that might not be quite the case. So those are the Valorant updates. Let's talk about the roster updates, because there's a lot going on right now. Beginning here, actually, with T1, Sylvan is officially gone. So he wasn't there for that long. We know that T1 didn't deliver at the end of the season the way that they would have wanted to, but, you know, we know what they did in Bangkok earlier this season. They started the season so well, they showed some promise, but in the end it wasn't good enough as the season wound down. So they'll be making some changes. There's other things happening in the Pacific and in the Chinese region as well. I think Muggle is available on the market too. But I actually, before we get to the Americas, I did want to quickly touch on this. I'll just do Europe, because Vitality apparently are considering, or reportedly allowing LeSS to hear offers from other teams. So this is interesting, right? Because the understanding is that LeSS and Dirk are signing 2-year deals with Vitality. The feeling was that probably they would keep those guys next year anyway and try and form a different super team that might actually work this time. Dirk is unlikely, I think, to go anywhere, but apparently if LeSS is being allowed to explore options, that feels like they are willing to let him go, and maybe they even want him to go. If they get an offer that makes sense, they don't feel like he's part of their future plans. So I'm not sure where that goes next, of course, but just to keep in mind that LeSS is not a guarantee to stay on Vitality, and other organisations might be of a mind to get him in. Not least an organisation like Loud. But there was a rumour yesterday. Now, I don't know the validity of this again. It's not coming from the, you know, let's say the highest quality of sources. You know, Bruno Porrelleri, you can trust his reports quite strongly. Other sources, you have to take it with a bit more of a pinch of salt. But apparently Loud may well be considering a completely different approach with a coach that doesn't want any Brazilian players at all, wants to get rid of all of them. So I don't know if that's going to go down too well with the fans, but we'll see what they do there. There were rumours the other day, as we know, that MIBR are considering multiple changes, potentially only Aspas and Verno to stay, Cortasia, Artzan, Zenem to be gone. Now, Furia apparently interested in Cortasia and Artzan. I think Furia within good reason, right? Like whatever you think about Art and the team that MIBR had, if Cortasia is available, if MIBR want to get rid of him, then if you're Furia, I think you probably should be saying, you know what, yeah, let's try and make that happen. So talk to early stages. Bruno says, though, these are conversations that are currently ongoing, so that could potentially be a very important deal. Aspas, though, is also not guaranteed to stay. He said after he was eliminated for the World Championship, well, he refused to comment on theories as to where his next team might be, or at least whether he was going to stay on MIBR. He didn't say, oh, I've got a contract, I'm definitely going to stay here for the long run. It's kind of what Boaster said right after they lost champs. He was like, I'm not going anywhere. Aspas refused to stay. And, well, Rocket says that apparently 2 of these teams have given him an offer, but you know, which 2, I guess. Feel free to speculate on that, but Aspas will have interest. It is Aspas. The other team worthy of note is Evil Geniuses. What are they cooking up for the upcoming season? Because they've allowed Derek to explore his options. Doesn't mean that they won't keep him, but they've allowed him to explore his options. But apparently they want to get rid of Nature and they want to get rid of Ye. They're planning to part ways with Ye and running trials across all positions. So I think there was a world where keeping Ye could make sense, but it doesn't seem like that's what they're going to do. According to rumours, Ye is going to go, Nature's going to go, and Rocket Bullets even goes on to say, as far as he understands, Icy and Supermen are probably going to go as well. So it looks like this is a full squad wipe. Derek will also consider his options. They may decide to build around him and bring him back. It's pretty unlikely that Icy or Supermen stay either, I think, and apparently Nature and Ye are definitely gone. So where next for Ye? Very good question. You know, maybe Loud if they go international, I don't know. But very interesting, maybe back to Bleed if they make a return. But yeah, I didn't really expect Evil Geniuses to full squad wipe. I thought they might keep 2, and if they are to keep 2, Icy and Supermen, probably not the 2 to keep, to be honest. Apparently Potter's going to stay, and she's going to do a full rebuild, and every single role is going to be trialed for. So yeah, I'm not expecting much out of Evil Geniuses next year. I guess we shall see. But the other 2 teams I wanted to get into were especially what's going on with Sentinels. So we saw yesterday VC Scrims, he put out this screenshot, and it was Narrate, Bang, Zelsis, Satellite, and Caillou, right? So the prevailing theory was, we talked about it yesterday, that likely Gen.G or Zekken had something else going on, and, you know, that they are not going to go anywhere. Because, as I said, if you're looking at that roster of 5, the only 2 players that I am keeping for sure are Gen.G and Zekken, right? So I don't think they should be going anywhere. And of course, Caillou and Satellite getting their opportunities from being part of that kind of Sen Academy, right? So Rob Moore expands on that and says this: Sen City, over the next few weeks, you can expect to see a lot of speculation regarding our roster for the next season. Whether they're keeping Kaplan, well, actually he does say Kaplan and the group are evaluating that. So looks like Kaplan isn't going anywhere, probably a good idea. In 2024, we brought home a domestic title and an international title. In 2025, we qualified for every international event, but we didn't bring home any trophies. We know that you expect championships, that's our goal. Here's where we are in the process. While Zekken and Gen.G are traveling this week, we will be giving some of the Qubit Academy players the opportunity to trial. Kaplan and the group are evaluating which roster combinations they believe have the most potential. We'll definitely be keeping TacticalRab and VST Scrimmers busy, as you'll see a lot of variation. So the next week or so, we are going to see other variations. They're going to try some other Academy players, and the implication of this tweet anyway is that Zekken and Gen.G aren't going anywhere. They're probably here to stay. They're traveling, you know, maybe they know that they're safe, whatever, who knows. And the rest of the roster, they're doing some trials right now. Now, he does mention that, okay, Qubit's players are doing trials. Does that mean that they won't consider other players? No, I'm sure that they will. And, you know, he admits that the next few weeks are going to be quite busy. So these are not trials that are going to come to a conclusion quite quickly. They'll probably give basically all of the Qubit guys a trial in that roster, play around with some players. Then when Zekken and Gen.G are back, probably throw them in, knowing that they, you would imagine, would be safe on that roster. But yeah, Sentinel's making it pretty clear. We're trying to get back to the top. Kaplan's staying around to try and build the roster that will get us to that point, and they're going to spend a good few weeks coming to their conclusions. The other question is around Cryo, to a certain extent. FNS made it pretty clear the other day, if you're Sen and you can get Cryo, you go and get him, right? Now, apparently 100 Thieves, they've got a new head coach coming in. He's actually currently coaching TSM, we think, for Ascension. That's the rumour, anyway, that he might be the man to deliver 100 Thieves back to glory as their coach next season. But apparently they're still considering Cryo to remain, but he would play the Sentinel rather than playing Duelist, and it's certainly not guaranteed that he stays either. So, yeah, 100T are thinking about it. We'll see what they decide to do, but these next few weeks are going to be very interesting indeed. So subscribe if you're new, all that good stuff. Very much interested to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.